We know that Josh Giddey and the Chicago Bulls are still trying to get a deal done. The Athletic went out there and polled 16 executives around the NBA, and they let us know how they really feel about Josh Giddey and his money. Y'all know we're going to talk about that, and there might be an alternative to the entire situation that may make sense for my man's Josh Giddey. Y'all know we're going to talk about it, break it all down, but you gotta hear the music first.
Cognac, gang.
Shy Bulls podcast with the Cognac Boys. I'm Cognac Boy Bobby, and I'm holding it down on another daily episode. So if y'all locked in, tuned in, and ready to talk Bulls basketball, make sure you go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. All this stuff about Josh Giddey has had Bulls Nation worked up to the umpteenth degree and constantly having us talking about, is he worth $30 million? Look at Emmanuel Quickly. Look at Jalen Suggs. And then you got the other people on there talking about, hey, it's just the market has not dictated what is Josh Giddey actual worth. We can't just look at half the season and just say he's worth $30 million moving forward. There may be a solution, but before we get into the solution, we got to talk about what 16 executives are currently saying and how they are feeling about the contract situation between Josh Giddey and the Chicago Bulls. The Athletics' Jed Katz and Joel Lorenzo went out there and polled 16 NBA executives, not including the Chicago Bulls, about Josh Giddey's contract situation. Most of them predicted that Josh Giddey will earn between $20 and $25 million per year in his next contract. 14 of the 16 participants proposed an average annual salary between 20 and 25 million, bringing that at, how it's going to look, be somewhere between on an average of $22 million per year. One executive out of the 16 said that Josh Giddey worth $18 million. And another one suggested that Josh Giddey is worth $12.5 million, which is less than the mid-level exception. This is all coming from the Athletics, so take it for what you will. I will say, what more can we say? In the words of my man Jay-Z, this is my position at the end of the season. I'm like, hey, I think he can definitely go out there and garner that $30 million. But with more information, you draw new conclusions. You've seen not a lot of players this offseason was getting a lot of big money. Yeah, you've seen some players go out there and move on to different teams and make a decent type of, earn themselves some money. But when it comes to Josh Giddey, we got to chalk it up for what it really is. You know what I'm saying? Josh Giddey is a restricted free agent. Nobody's making that call for Josh Giddey right now to say, hey, we could probably poach him from the Chicago Bulls. Me and C-Dub even went as far as having a discussion about both sides of the situation. On one side, we talked about it. Hey, do you go out there and give a guy $30 million based on half of a season? Or do you feel like you can go ahead and go that route and just allow Josh Giddey to walk out of the door if he does play on said qualifying offer? Now, that's something that's been very, very interesting. We've heard reports that the Chicago Bulls are not coming off of $20 million per year. And now we're adding more information and more things into the discussion when it comes to Josh Giddey and his contract situation, with some people feeling 20 to 25 million, which I believe it currently stands, is absolutely where he should be valued at this current moment in time. We looked at how most teams are really, really trying to harp down on not crossing second aprons and really harp down on what is the market for said players, because I know there's people that had expectations in saying that, hey, the salary cap goes up 7 to 10% every single year. And we came to find out that it's going to start to get a little stagnant moving forward, and that 10% is not going to be the high end every single year in the NBA. So Josh Giddey is coming up to he's entering a situation that, hey, it's looking real tough. I'm personally interested to see what was the annual average that the Bulls were offering Josh Giddey at the beginning of the season. Because if you all remember, at the beginning of the season, Josh Giddey and his representation sat down with the Chicago Bulls and said, hey, let's try to get an extension done. Josh Giddey said, hell no. He went out to eventually play the season. He started off a little rough, eventually came on once Zach LaVine was traded away from the squad. So those are some difficult things that they got to figure out. We're understanding that within the month of August, that both sides are going to come together again and try to come and figure out a solution. And that solution might result in Josh Giddey having to bet on himself by either taking the qualifying offer or simply taking a shorter deal, which leads us into the next reporting that we are receiving from Ricky O'Donnell. Ricky O'Donnell is suggesting, he's coming from SB Nation, that Josh Giddey should change his approach about the contract situation. O'Donnell recently talked about Josh Giddey and his playmaking ability, but going on and taking a shorter term deal with a player option. That could be a way to receive a pay increase and bet on himself for even bigger earnings in the future. And it does not sound bad. He goes on to say Giddy should try to negotiate a shorter deal with a player option if he really wants to bet on themselves. That's the way he's locking in generational wealth while still gaining the ability to truly test the open market at a young age. Because whatever deal he takes in 4 years, he'll be 26 in what a lot of people like to categorize a player's prime. So in that type of situation, it might be feasible for Josh Giddey to really say, all right, bet. I don't want to play for $11 million, but let me go ahead and chalk up this $20 million so I can receive a pay increase. Let me get a player option on the back end, maybe after year 3, so I can decline that. And then I really cash in based on my performance for the last few years. And it may be the direction that Josh Giddey absolutely has to go into at this particular moment in time. Because me personally, if you're Josh Giddey, you don't want to fumble the bag. Because if you play on a 1-year qualifying offer for $11 million and you go out, let's just say, we're going to knock on wood, suffers an injury, you have no reassurance for years after that to follow. But if you lock in yourself and then you suddenly go down with the injury, now you have all that money still waiting for you, as most NBA contracts, well, shit, damn, well, all of them are fully guaranteed contracts. It's not like the NFL to where a team is loading guaranteed money on the front end and then forgetting about you after 2 or 3 years when it comes to guaranteed money. So I'm saying Josh Giddey, the solution might be, hey, let's compromise. Let's leave a few $1 million on the table. I can't count the money for the man. I'll keep it real with you. But at the end of the day, you want to take 20 mil or do you want to play for 11 mil? It's a risky thing. He can still be ticked off with the Chicago Bulls moving forward. He can still look at those type of situations and say, hell no, I'm going to go out there, bet on myself. I'm going to be healthy. And he can really cash in after that. But man, is it a risky thing. But sometimes high risk, high reward in some situations. But playing in a sport to where you're running up and down this damn court, and we're seeing him with one of his special powers attack the basket and go downhill. You can always land a little awkwardly. You can always, bump into somebody and miss a couple games. And you see that the Chicago Bulls are already using half of the season to lower your value, and you're using half of your season to raise your value. The Chicago Bulls in the negotiation will be bringing those type of things up moving forward. If that is the case, if you do go out there and decide to play on that qualifying offer. So it's a tricky thing. This is what negotiations are about. It's going to be a lot of people that's mad about the whole entire thing. Some people are going to feel like, hey, the Chicago Bulls are even disrespecting them. Look, we can go out there and we can compare the Emmanuel Quickleys and the Jalen Suggs to Josh Giddey. But right now, the market is speaking. Right now, the executives are speaking, including the Chicago Bulls. It's definitely a situation that Josh Giddey is going to have to come to terms with and figure out for himself. If the Chicago Bulls can get him locked in at a team-friendly deal, it's a win for the Chicago Bulls. It's a win for Josh Giddey. Probably not the win that he wants, but you lock up some long-term money, at least for the next 3 to 4 years. You can go out there. We're going to cancel out year 4, and I want some more money to extend to push this thing forward. Now you picking up more dollars. And if you go out there and you get yourself an all-star appearance, you attempt to make an all NBA team, which I think is tall tax for him, but with an open Eastern Conference, who knows? I don't know. I'm not putting all that stuff on Josh Giddey, because my moniker has been, I need to see consistent play. Because when the season first started last season, I looked at Josh Giddey and I'm like, bro, you're not being consistently good to start off the NBA season in October, in November. December started to turn it around. January, once Zach LaVine was gone, that's when you really started to hit your stride. So the same way that I look at my guys like Kobe White and other players on the Chicago Bulls, I can't make an exception for Josh Giddey. He has to be consistent for an entire season for him to feel validated by the Chicago Bulls and the money. It's not the Chicago Bulls, like, I got to play devil's advocate. It's not the Chicago Bulls' fault that the Toronto Raptors gave Emmanuel Quickley all that money. It's not the Chicago Bulls' fault that the Orlando Magic gave Jalen Suggs all that money. And the same thing could be said about Josh Giddey and his situation. It's not Josh Giddey's fault that the Chicago Bulls did a bonehead move and gave Patrick Williams $18 million. But this is where we are with the situation. This is how it's going to have to pan out. And we're just going to have to wait and see what it is. But the solution is there for Josh Giddey. The solution makes sense for Josh Giddey. And we shall be waiting right here on Shy Bulls Podcast, waiting to deliver those news once those news drop. So y'all make sure y'all stay locked in and tuned in and turn on that notification bell, because once the news drop, we will be up here breaking it all down. We understand that me and C-Dub have not been collaborating on a lot of these episodes. We trying to get our schedules in order. You know what I'm saying? Because I picked up some new endeavors. But nonetheless, we still going to come out here and deliver some content for you guys. So we appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for constantly supporting the channel. The support has been tremendous this entire offseason, and we're going to continue to deliver. And y'all keep y'all eyes open on Nikola Vucevic, because boy, let him go one way or another. Let him go. But you got to get Josh Giddey signed for the foreseeable future as well. I think he needs to be a part of this team, whether some of y'all like it or not. I'm on board with having him for the foreseeable future to give this young player an opportunity to show what he's really made of for an entire season. He got to prove that to a lot of us and prove it to his damn self as well. But that is it for me today, y'all. I appreciate y'all for tuning in into another episode. Before y'all get up out of here, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell. And hit the comment box too. Let us know how y'all feeling about today's topic. Thank y'all so much. Make sure y'all always see red. And y'all already know. I'm going to catch y'all on the next one for sure.
Cognac. Gang.